Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're getting into something big in college wrestling.
hmm
The transfer portal and NIL, name, image, likeness. It's really shaking things up.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge shift.
Yeah, and we got some great articles sent in, so thanks for those. We're going to try and, cut through the noise and pull out the really key stuff for you quickly.
Sounds good.
So the mission today. Let's figure out the main impacts of the portal and NIL on wrestling, look at what some key programs are doing, and kind of what it all means for the sport.
Right. It's definitely, like the sources say, a new era. A real whirlwind offseason is probably a good way to put it.
Whirlwind, yeah. Teams reloading, reshuffling,
hmm
trying to stay on top or climb up.
Exactly. It's constant movement now, it seems.
Okay, so where should we start? Which teams really pop out from the sources as being, super active in this new landscape?
Well, the University of Iowa jumps out immediately.
Okay,
Yeah, they finished fourth this past season. Penn State, Nebraska, Oklahoma State were ahead of them.
Right, so not quite where they usually expect to be, maybe.
Perhaps not. And they've definitely used the portal before, right? Guys like Teskey, Franek, Caliendo, Buchanan. They've had success with transfers.
That's true. So they know how to play this game. What were their big needs this offseason, according to the articles?
Well, eligibility ran out for Buchanan, Parco, and Teamer.
Mm-hmm.
So definite gaps there.
All right.
And it sounds like they also wanted to maybe get stronger at 125 and 141 pounds, the lower weights.
Makes sense. So how did they tackle that? Who did they bring in?
They were pretty targeted. They got Nazar Bailey from Arkansas Little Rock.
Oh, Bailey. Yeah, he had a great freshman year.
He really did. Little Rock's first ever All-American, finished fourth at 133, won the Pac-12 title too.
Wow. So where does he slot in for Iowa?
That's the interesting part. He could potentially redshirt, sit out a year of competition, but still practice, save that eligibility.
Uh-huh.
Or he could jump right in at 141 pounds. Gives them options.
Yeah.
Flexibility.
Yeah, that's valuable. High-level guy right away. Who else?
They also picked up Jordan Williams, also from Arkansas Little Rock.
Another Little Rock guy. Interesting.
Yeah, two-time NCAA qualifier. He was apparently pretty close to the podium last year. Could maybe fill that 149 spot left by Parco.
So another guy who can potentially score points at the national level pretty much immediately.
That seems to be the idea. Not just filling a spot, but adding someone who can really contend.
Gotcha. And what about that 125 spot they wanted to bolster?
For that, they brought in Dean Peterson from Rutgers.
Rutgers, okay. Big Ten guy.
Yep, qualified for NCAAs 3 times. And he consistently plays top 7 at the Big Tens, which is, always a tough tournament.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's immediate experience and depth right there at 125.
Definitely. Someone reliable who's been through the Big Ten wars. That helps in duels, helps at nationals.
Okay, so Bailey, Williams, Peterson. Sounds like a good haul. But the articles mentioned maybe one question mark still for Iowa.
Yeah, 197 pounds. Buchanan's old weight. It seems like they're still figuring that one out.
Yeah.
Do they find another transfer? Or do they, promote someone who's already in the room?
That kind of highlights the strategy involved now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Always weighing those options, portal versus development.
Exactly. It's a constant calculation. What's available, who's ready in-house, what does the team need right now?
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about their in-state rivals, Iowa State? The sources said they were pretty active too, but maybe in a different way.
Yeah, Iowa State's been busy. But for them, it's been more of a carousel, maybe. Significant guys leaving and significant guys coming in.
Ah, so the portal giveth and the portal taketh away for the Cyclones.
You could say that. They definitely lost some important starters, guys who are key parts of their lineup.
Who are we talking about? The articles mention Redding.
Zach Redding, yeah, 133. He went to NC State.
Mhm.
Then Casey Sudersky, who wrestled 141, 149.
Yeah.
He's off to Oklahoma State.
Okay, another Big 12 rival.
And Cody Chittum, at 157, he transferred to Ohio State. So those are definitely impact wrestlers heading out the door.
Yeah, those are noticeable losses. So how did Iowa State counter that? Who did they bring in?
Well, they made some pretty big splashes on the incoming side, too. The huge one is Rocky Elam from Missouri.
Elam. Wow, okay. That is huge.
Isn't it? 4-time All-American, junior world champion back in 2021. He was injured, but he's got 1 year left at 197. That's just a massive, massive boost.
Massive feels right. A guy with that resume instantly makes them tougher. Anyone else significant?
Yeah, they also added Isaac Dean from Ryder.
Wider, okay.
He was 25-9 last year, won the MAC title at 184 pounds, qualified for NCAAs. Looks like
Yeah.
he'll slot in where Evan Bachman was.
So a solid replacement there at 184. Keeps him strong in that spot.
Exactly. So even though they lost those guys, Iowa State's clearly using the portal aggressively to stay, right near the top of the Big 12, reloading quickly.
It's really fascinating watching these two big Iowa programs navigate this. What about the top dogs? Penn State, reigning champs. Are they just sitting back, or are they playing the portal game too?
Oh, they're definitely not sitting back. The sources say Penn State is also reloading. I mean, not the same volume as Iowa, but definitely adding serious talent. They're kind of the gold standard right now.
Right. So who did they add?
Two really key names mentioned. First, Rocco Welsh.
Ah, Welsh. NCAA runner-up at 174, but he redshirted last season.
That's the one. So he's had a year in their system developing.
Yeah. Oh.
Huge potential there.
Okay. And the second one?
Masanosuke Ono.
Oh, no. The freestyle world champ. The guy who beat Spencer Lee recently.
That's him. Just,
Yeah.
bringing in that level of international freestyle success is pretty incredible.
So Penn State isn't necessarily filling gaps, maybe, but just adding elite, potentially title-winning talent on top of what they already have.
That seems to be the strategy. Even at the very top, you're looking for any edge, any way to get even better. And they're finding it.
Okay, so we've got Iowa reloading, Iowa State churning, Penn State adding elite pieces. What about the third D1 program in Iowa, University of Northern Iowa? How are they handling things?
Well, UNA presents a bit of a contrast, actually. More stability there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the articles point out they retained their entire roster from last season. Everyone's coming back.
Wow, in this climate, that's pretty unusual.
It is. Speaks well of the culture Coach Schwab has built, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a good year. Finished 9th at Nationals. That's solid team returning.
Did they use the portal at all recently?
They did benefit from a transfer last season. Jack Thompson came in from South Dakota State at 165.
Right, I remember him. He had a good season.
Yeah, qualified for NCAAs, had some key dual wins. So it shows that even if you prioritize retention, you can still make strategic additions through the portal when it makes sense. It doesn't have to be, a complete roster overhaul every year.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The sources also briefly touched on some coaching moves. Roper leaving UNI, Thomas Gilman joining Penn State's club. How does that fit in?
It's sort of adjacent, but definitely part of the shifting landscape. Coaching stability, or lack thereof, influences everything, including recruiting and transfers.
Yeah.
Gilman, obviously a huge Iowa star, going to coach at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club.
Yeah.
Well, that just adds another layer to the Iowa-Penn State dynamic, doesn't it? Strengthens an already very strong setup at Penn State.
Yeah, adds a little spice there. Okay, so pulling back a bit. Looking at all this movement, Iowa State being super active, Penn State adding studs, UNI staying stable but using transfer strategically. What are the bigger picture implications here? The sources seem to suggest this whole thing, portal and NIL, might be widening the gap.
Yeah, that's a major theme coming through, this idea that the gap between the, let's call them elite programs, and the smaller schools might be growing.
How so? What's the mechanism there?
Well, think about where some of those Iowa transfers came from. Arkansas, Little Rock.
Right, Bailey and Williams.
And Iowa State got Dean from Ryder. The articles use places like Little Rock and Ryder as examples of potential feeder programs.
Feeder programs, you mean they develop talent and then bigger schools pooch them? Essentially, yeah. These smaller programs do a great job finding and developing wrestlers, but then those wrestlers get All-American status or qualify for NCAAs, and suddenly bigger programs with more resources, maybe better NIL opportunities.
Culling.
Exactly. It's tough for those smaller schools to hold on to their absolute top-end talent once they break through.
So the athletes get more opportunity, more control, maybe more money, which is good for them individually.
Right.
But it makes it harder for those mid-major type programs to build sustained success and challenge the traditional powers.
That seems to be the consequence, yeah. The powerhouses like Iowa, Iowa State, Penn State, they have the resources. The NIL collectives are often stronger. They can attract these proven high-level guys from the portal. It helps them get stronger, potentially making it harder for others to catch up.
So it really feels like the main takeaway here is that loyalty, the idea of sticking with one program for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
it's just much more fluid now.
Mm.
Fluid is a good word for it. The top programs aren't just willing, they seem almost required now to use the portal aggressively to retool, patch holes, or even upgrade.
Yeah, you can't just rely on high school recruiting anymore.
Not if you want to stay at the very top, it seems. The portal offers immediate impact potential that's hard to ignore.
So The whole competition for national titles is becoming this constant high-stakes game. It's not just about the season, it's recruitment, retention, and retooling through the portal year-round.
Precisely. Adaptability, being proactive in roster management. That's the name of the game now. The offseason is just as intense as the season, in a different way.
Well, this was definitely a good, quick dive into this. It's clear things are changing fast in college wrestling. The portal and NIL are really rewriting the rules.
They really are. It's pretty remarkable how quickly it's all shifted and how teams are responding. It's going to be fascinating to watch this play out over the next few years.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, here's maybe something to think about. With all this player movement, NIL money flowing, how does that change what we even mean by team loyalty or program building in college sports going forward? Something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thanks for tuning in as we break down the game, the deals, and all things name, image, likeness. Don't forget, this podcast is brought to you by Student Baller, your go-to resource for boosting your NIL game. Make sure to check out their exclusive NIL launch kit and brand kit and join the Student Baller family to unlock opportunities that could change your life. And hey, if you found value in today's episode, show us some love. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and share this podcast with your squad. Let's build this NIL community together. Powered by StudentBaller.com. One call Student Ball.